Hello and welcome to the SmackDown review. I'm Michael Sidgwick, joined by Michael Hamflett to discuss everything that went down on Friday's show. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube for daily wrestling podcasts where we preview and review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0, Dynamite, Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have roundtable discussions, wrestler interviews on occasion, question and answer time, and we host a roundup of the week complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WhatCulture. This, however, is a SmackDown review.
So just
do I have to press this stupid button?
Yeah, actually, why not? Hell of a week for it. Like, if it's, I don't know. I never know where it is on the thing, though.
No.
Feels like a long now. Oh, Dion. It's like your man, but a single.
Oh, Dion.
This keeps up.
Sorry, that was my notes for Takeshita versus Ricochet. That's a fair. Oh, dear. So if you want to listen to the full gear review, that should be available now.
This keeps happening, Sidge. Wilborn being off on a Monday and presumably regretting all of his life choices because he doesn't get to sit in on reviewing yet another kind of awesome SmackDown. It's smoking raw right now. What were your overall thoughts before we dig in?
I tweeted this. Hopefully the mega fans will forgive me. I tweeted the following. I wish the actual pro wrestling on this pro wrestling show wasn't so incidental and mediocre and heatless and forgettable and just there, because if it wasn't for the pro wrestling, which is ultimately why I watch wrestling, if it wasn't for the WWE-ness of it all, I would love to enter and re-enter this world every single week with these characters and the way that the booking is unfolding and progressing, because my God, if you like WWE and you still have to like it, and that specific WWE essence, the quality, you'd love your life. I watched this. I woke up on Saturday morning too early, before the kids. I've said this a million times. My dumb internal alarm clock. I straddle 2 time zones being in this job, which I'm very privileged to do and happy to do more often than not. But my body's like, wake up, asshole, it's wrestling time. It's like, oh, God, it isn't, though. It isn't. It's like, well, I'll watch it now because that means I can watch The Running Man or something with my evening, my own time.
Okay.
So I'll watch it on my bloody phone now that I've woke up before the kids get up. Put it on. That's me being tired, not me being tired now. And I was like, if only I loved it. Because this is some pretty great stuff.
Yeah.
There's some stuff I earnestly love. There's some stuff on this show, one bit in particular, one more than the other 2 big things that happened in the show where I'm like, this breaks that WWE coating, that veneer, and it just becomes this great, unqualified, great thing that I'm just bang into. I watch too much wrestling. I watch both of the companies. All two, apart from Rampage. And that's enough because there's too much of it. And a lot of the time, because I'm in a bit of a mood with my preferred promotion this year, I'm like, right, I'm sure the match will be good. I'm not really emotionally invested. I'm telling you now, I don't think I'll lose sleep. I'm like, oh, God, when I wake up, it's here, and I'm excited to see it. But I'm clearing out that calendar for the Saturday night's main event.
Oh, yeah.
When that thing comes on Sky, BT, or wherever it's on, Discovery, that's because they change the name of the app all the time. It's not because I'm watching wrestling. I'm like, oh, God, bang, press play. Mm-hmm. Not like, this again, play. This Saturday night's main event feels special. And it's because it's, the PLEs aren't that good either, to be fair, in ring. But there's one match in particular that not only looks great, but is telling me something about the business or reminding me something about the business. And maybe Tony Khan should be watching SmackDown.
I love when you said this Saturday night's main event because my head just went to the headline attraction of the Survivor Series coming on Saturday, and you meant an entirely different show. And I was like, I'm excited about both.
How's it this week?
It's this coming Saturday.
Survivor Series.
And that's what gets us going on SmackDown. Solo Sikoa and the new Bloodline, inclusive of Bronson Reed, of course, following the reveal he'd be the fifth man and him kicking Seth's ass on Monday Night Raw, come out to start the show and simply basically lays out the stakes for the main event segment of the night that Roman Reigns is so not ready for the Bloodline that he's not even here. We wonder if he'll even show up. But if he does, why don't you get yourself down here and we'll just agree to the terms of your surrender. There's 5 of us, there's 4 of you. What's the point in even going ahead with War Games? And once Roman surrenders, he can finally acknowledge Solo Sikoa. This is after Solo's tried and failed to get the acknowledgement of the people in Salt Lake City, Utah, at the other Delta Center, Sidge. You got anything on that?
Fanny Melter Center.
That's why we're back above the dead man in the chart. So we'll get back to that.
Oh, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Kiss my ass, dead man. Want to respect the podcast business.
Makes you wonder if you set that podcast up to create a platform and now having used that platform on stage, he no longer cares about that platform. We will see in the coming weeks. And we will also see potentially some pretty big storyline development in the coming weeks in the women's division on SmackDown, because there was a triple threat match that opened us up proper with Bianca Belair versus Chelsea Green versus Blair Davenport in the United States title tournament.
Wasn't that bad?
It wasn't that bad. So the two sort of, I guess, colliding stories here was that Bianca Belair is the obvious favourite and is kind of always able to retain control, even in the triple threat
These triple threat tournament setting, this is bobbins.
Yeah. Cheat code nonsense from Triple H.
Lazy boy.
However, why he likes his cheat codes is because they are kind of effective. They are ostensibly there to show you somebody that obviously has the match won and then get somebody else over kind of within the body of it. And then in this case, the result, because Chelsea Green, who we've always loved on this podcast, but has like at this point reached a point where the credit she's got with the fans is that when the big matches come around, or the matches with stakes, should I say, come around, fans typically root for her. Yes, she's the heel. Yes, she's trying to like sneak pins here and there, but it's got to that point where she's often the babyface.
Yeah.
Because people are just rooting for her regardless of what story she might be involved in. And that kind of happens here. So Blair Davenport is the third wheel, as is often the case in these triple threats. But Bianca Belair, constantly dominant, but Chelsea Green just keeps digging away at her. And this is sort of best expressed. We kind of like, there's all sorts of like 3-way offense, trade and roll-ups, all that sort of stuff. That kind of takes us into a commercial. We come back from that.
What's on the hook for these?
Yeah, and like, they've kind of worked themselves into now Chelsea Green, especially getting 2 counts, and the fans are really, really coming up for them. She removes Blair Davenport from the picture entirely, but then at that point, Bianca Belair starts making her like babyface comeback where she just looks really, really dominant. She does the delayed vertical suplex to Blair Davenport. She goes for like 10 punches in the corner on Blair Davenport, but Chelsea Green is able to get back in there and hit Bianca Belair with a Rough Rider. Again, that kind of gives her a little bit of sense of control of the match back. She ultimately goes to... she goes up top to try and hit something on Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair knocks her back to the ground and then hits her with like that awesome 450 splash that she's got. Again, just to sort of reiterate that ultimately she's the one on top here. However... right as she's going to cover Blair Davenport for what might be the finish, we see the screen reveals from the back that Jade Cargill has been absolutely brutalized by an unknown assailant.
Brutalized!
She is left splayed across a smashed car windscreen. Bianca Belair kind of is like, oh, I've got the match. What do I actually do here? She ultimately picks her partner.
Hesitation will be a key plot point you expect.
Indeed. She elects to leave the match behind. She races off to the back, which ultimately frees Chelsea Green and Blair Davenport to find themselves in this kind of golden opportunity situation. Blair Davenport is able to land a super kick, but Green is able to ultimately counter her attempt to win, gets the unprettier, gets the win, gets a massive response for the win as we kind of eagerly await what's going to happen with Bianca Belair coming up after the break. But yeah, Chelsea Green gets to soak in the moment and she moves forward in the tournament to take on Bayley.
Indeed. This is such a... Wrestling is so weird. You don't want anyone to get hurt, genuinely. And I think we are often guilty on this podcast of just not really putting over just how much it must suck to bump for a living. I mean, they're signed up for it, to be fair. But, can't be the easiest job. And maybe we overlook that on occasion. or it's a very long-winded way of saying, yes, sometimes it's a good time to be injured. I'm not saying that you wouldn't trust Levesque on this form, and just quick temperature check on the Fed.
My pulse races. It must be boiling hot.
I think it's boiling hot. Not that you wouldn't trust Levesque to have plotted it had Jade Cargill, as reported by Dave Meltzer, for him, he's got one, is reported that, no, it's obviously cover for a very real injury suffered by Jade Cargill, who we obviously wish the very best. But cheat code now, because if she is in fact back for WrestleMania, I think the projected time away about 3 months.
3 months, yeah.
So it's not like one of these really nasty neck or ACL deals you would expect. And given this a time frame, it doesn't look like a concussion because you never know for that. Bianca Belair can now do a lot of near miss stuff, challenge for titles, not win them. The idea being that she really wants that. She's got this quest now. She's got a thirst for singles glory, and maybe Jade Cargill can come back as a heel and say, "You hesitated, you bitch." Jade Cargill's incredible at saying bitch as well, so that would be working in her favor. I was really quite taken by this match. It's quite dramatic, quite well worked. Love the finish because Chelsea Green rules, and now what they've done to cover for this real Jade Cargill injury is they spun a mystery who attacked her, or who might have orchestrated the attack, Bianca Belair. I mean, that wouldn't make much sense, but...
Well, I've got something for you.
Okay. And now you can, hopefully, if Jade Cargill recovers per this sort of tentative timetable that's been put out there, this WrestleMania match should be good to go when she comes back. And I think almost every feud, all but the very best, have that sensation of, you've done the hard work now. Good to the point. We've seen it with the New Day of late, to use a very recent example. Not everything can be Punk MJF, where it just feels like, it's almost bittersweet that the match is happening because it means that we're closer to the end than the beginning. They've neutralized that potentially with this cover story.
I didn't obviously know about the injury going in, which helped the sort of drama of all of this. This is the second week in a row. I agree with you by this is cheat code stuff. These tournaments he just leans on. But last week it was kind of B-Fab getting some flowers for being able to and she was in there with Bayley and Candice LeRae, so it was clearly orchestrated to give her the best chance to get over while Bayley went over. Same thing sort of happened again here, isn't it? Because Bianca Belair is of course just continues to be the EST, but you've created the perfect vehicle, no pun intended, for Chelsea Green to get this kind of biggest career.
You always intend your puns.
I do, you're right. The biggest career win yet, and you could see her potentially getting by Bayley, and all of a sudden she's made it to a final, and it feels like the clown is credible all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So it's a nice route for her potentially. We'll see how that goes, but we do come back from the break, and Bianca Belair is rushing to the scene where Jade Cargill has been
I think she overdid it.
Been loaded in the ambulance. Bayley and Naomi are looking on concerned, and as has been the case every week forever, basically, Bianca Belair is particularly aggrieved that Bayley is putting on that she cares. She has never, it's been a really nice detail, she's never forgiven Bayley for their fouad all the way back in 2021. Bayley was particularly cruel to Bianca Belair. She's never gotten over that, even when Bayley's turned babyface. And she's like, I'm getting in the ambulance, I'm a friend, and off they go to the hospital. Now, Bianca Belair, with the potential Jade Cargill match, could be at least, obviously we saw her in the ring, but she could be an orchestrator of this attack. She could have done it before she's gone out to the ring and could be faking it. She could have, it could just be, I don't know who's done it, but maybe I do want the title, and it is just that they're leaning on as a story. Or, in Bayley, you have a potential heel turn rooted in the fact that, well, you were never going to trust me anyway. There was nothing I could do to prove myself to you. But I think the most interesting one is, having just lost to Nia Jax in what is kind of her last chance to get back to where she belongs at the top of the card, could it be Naomi taking out, spotting that she's become the third member of the big three, taking out Jade Cargill, and then just as a SmackDown GM, can't remember his name, is about to say, I'm going to have to strip you the titles, Naomi's like, I could step in. And she just takes that place, takes the title with it, and it's almost like this shortcut back. And she's like, sorry, Bayley, but we're friends, I guess. And all along is hiding in plain sight. She's used this for her own career advancement. You can tell the Jade Cargill Bianca Belair story because of Bianca's hesitation, for Bianca backing the wrong horse in Naomi. Yeah. Meanwhile, you've set up the perfect in plain sight heel turn for Naomi when it's revealed that she did it. Remember Triple H and Shawn Michaels? It was you, Hunter, and the camera zooms in and the somehow got this perfect security camera.
Yeah.
You feel like that's coming down the line, don't you? I've said it for the last few weeks. The SmackDown Women's Division is sort of started to show signs of life, and this big angle felt like a nice, inciting incident to celebrate that. Feels like a lot of overlapping character motivations.
I remember SmackDown the previous weeks.
Previously on wrestling. So yeah, we will see where that comes. But obviously, it's the Gabbo effect in wrestling. I want to know who's done it.
Yeah.
Tell me who's done it. LA Knight is out next. He's here to defend his title against Santos Escobar, obviously after their interactions last week. But before the match can start, we get interrupted by a Shinsuke Nakamura video. It's in the style of the new character that he revealed last week, but also quite similar to the videos he was doing when he was feuding with Cody Rhodes last year. So I don't know.
And Seth.
Yes, as well, yeah.
Remember when he did his pre-taped beatdown?
Yes.
Where I just guessed exactly how it was going to go, despite being in two places at once.
At the exact right
it was
moment.
so WCW, and yet no one.
It was weak.
It was baffling. It was baffling, is what it was.
I don't love this video. I had mixed feelings on the Nakamura return last week, but I did like
he's not winning the frigging title, is he?
No, he's not, and the match is going to stink and all. But I did actually quite like the content of the video. Previously, I think with the Cody and Seth ones, the verbiage was, like, dare I say it, like Wyatt adjacent. It was all a bit nonsense, a bit sort of double speak. Here, it was kind of pretty clear. He's been watching LA Knight, he's been scouting LA Knight, and LA Knight is begging the crowd for all this affection, the attention. He's insecure. He loses this title. He loses everything. He basically suggesting that LA Knight's always on thin ice, and the confidence is kind of a front for all of that. You live in fear of what you've obtained. Those fears are justified because I'm going to take it away from you. That actually allows Escobar to jump LA Knight before the bell, as if like he might take the US title, but this is Nakamura obviously signposting that he's going to get it done. Then we get like 7 unbelievably dull, boring minutes between LA Knight and Santos Escobar, a match that goes absolutely nowhere, being truthful. Not great for Santos Escobar. This, like...
he's had a dud,
He's amounted to nothing.
Had a dud, yeah.
Yeah.
Even the match that was meant to be quite good, the long one with LA Knight, like LA Knight botched about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. This match has had...
Can't climb those ropes. Stop trying.
It's a weird one because it's awesome when it delivers, but he misses it quite a bit now.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you do with that?
Stop doing it. That's what you do. Don't do what you can't do.
Escobar gets a frog splash, goes for the Phantom Driver, but LA Knight is able to counter at the BFT for the win. That really is all the kind of conversation the match merits. TV title defense of the champion, I suppose, if I'm being generous. Nakamura is back again after the match.
You are being generous.
Yeah. He posts LA Knight and then smashes in with his Kinshasa. That's a couple of weeks in a row where the kicks look pretty amazing, actually. And he's got his new aesthetic. We didn't really get a chance to talk about that. What do you make of this Nakamura rebadging and the title match? I
don't buy it. The dude has been around in this promotion 8 years. He is WWE's Lance Archer, realistically. Someone who they can just pluck out of mothballs when they need a challenger. And I just don't take it seriously at all. I mean, if they really believed in him, they would have him featured, and they really liked him. They would have him. They would keep him in storyline cycles. He'd be an ever-present. It just feels like, oh, God, we should probably do something with him. Well, LA Knight's not really got much to do now that this Carmelo Andrade thing is kind of fizzled out. Oh, just give it Shinsuke till the end of the season. I'm not even that clever. I say this. I'm articulate, but I'm not very clever about a lot of things. But I'm cleverer than this. I don't buy what they're selling to me.
Do you like the look?
Oh no, it's goofy to me. I think it's just like it's desperate. It just reeks of desperation. Of he looks different, so he is different.
This is cruel to Nakamura, and I don't mean it to sound as cruel as this does, but it is lipstick on a pig if you consider Nakamura's entire WWE
run. I was dancing around that exact turn of phrase.
It's Nakamura 8 years. I was thinking this morning on the bus to work, because this is what I think about on the bus to work. Jim Duggan.
I play Wordle and Querdle.
Jim Duggan.
And listen to the new Kendrick Lamar record.
Is it good? Started getting a lot.
I really like it. Yeah. I really like it.
Jim Duggan was in WCW 1 year longer than he was in WWF, and I thought about that this morning, and I was like, oh my God, that's something. Like, Duggan's this golden era, Hulkamania era, babyface of WWF, and then he actually spent longer in WCW. We are approaching that with Nakamura and WWE and New Japan.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's nuts, isn't it? We're a little way off, but like, you feel you'll get there. You feel you will get there where the run becomes the run, rather than like in terms of time spent rather than news. That's wild, isn't it? Like everyone
He was the craziest, most charismatic, deadly megastar, coolest wrestler on the planet.
Yeah.
Now he stinks.
He does stink, but he surfs. We're told that's what keeps him going. So, yeah. After the break, we've got SmackDown GM with Nia Jax questioning her about the attack on Jade Cargill. Nia Jax does deny, but then enough of that. Out of the way, yo, because Cody Rhodes is here and he's heading to the ring. SmackDown GM says Kevin Owens hasn't been on the blower, so he doesn't know if he's going to be there, but Cody's pretty sure that he's going to be there in the building. So we come back and Cody's in the ring. He's ready to go. He says it's face-to-face time. Randy Orton's not here, and I'm the one that's having to deal with why that is. But I know you're here, KO, so get out. Kevin Owens' voice is there before his physical presence is, and we see that he's actually in the stands.
Love that. What a coward.
In the stands, in his tuxedo t-shirt. Shout out to Mythgift, who does the best Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn law in the world, and pointed out this is kind of like following a lot of the same beats as the Davey Richards Ring of Honor storyline in 2012. And that framing is the exact framing they use, tuxedo t-shirt and all. And it's Kevin Owens doing this idea. It's like, no, the company man gets the ring, gets to tell everybody when he's coming. He's framing his cowardice as if I'm doing this.
Works particularly well to reboot it against the suit dude.
Yeah, I've got a bit of agency here. And Cody notably isn't in the suit for the night as well. And he says, I'm fine being here, but I'm just a little bit insulted that I was summoned by the great Cody Rhodes. Cody says, but you were summoned to be in the ring with me, not to be in the crowd. Kevin Owens says, you're not getting what you want this time, Cody. Not this time. Cody wants to go to Owens himself then, and there's a bunch of security that get in the way to stop it, so they have to have this chat at this crazy distance. Owens says, look, we can fight, but just ask yourself why any of this is happening. It's your fault, Cody. It's all your fault. And he basically lays out the story that's been there for us pretty much since he first turned on Randy Orton. He explains, at this point, he does start marching towards the ring, but he kind of stands on the commentary table and lets the security wall do their job. He explains, I fought against the Bloodline, every version of the Bloodline, for 4 years. They've tried to end my career, not just fight me, end my career over and over and over again. Roman Reigns himself tried to end my career, but he couldn't do it because I kept fighting. I kept fighting at WrestleMania 39 when I was there for you in the main event. I kept fighting for WrestleMania 40 when I was there for you in the main event, holding you aloft as you finished the story and they won the title. And for what? Roman to come back and to ask you for help, and for you just to say yes. And he's just disgusted that Cody would make that choice and make that decision. You've teamed with the man that has tried over and over to end my career. So yeah, Cody, it is your fault. Cody's just sick of it. Enough, Kevin. Justify your actions however you want, but me teaming with Roman was nothing to do with you. I did it because it was the right thing to do. This is once again, Kevin, about you making yourself the victim. In your mind, you have to be held down in your head, but nobody holds you down more than you yourself. Your self-sabotage is the next level, Kevin. You are so obsessed with being the top guy, and you're so obsessed with me being the top guy that you don't realize that this is a team effort. I'm happy to be the leader of the team, but Kevin, this could be you too. You've been here for a decade. You've been the man holding it down here for a decade. You're a Grand Slam champion. These fans absolutely loved you, and everybody knows that you're that guy, apart from you. The last time that we've wrestled, Kevin, you could have pulled the trigger on me. You could have been the champion again. You could have led this team, but you couldn't do it. He's referring, of course, to the bit where he kind of didn't want to do it at Berlin, didn't want to do the damage. And he says, you finally pulled the trigger, but you pulled it on the wrong man. Randy Orton wasn't the man you should have done that to. Why couldn't you have just done it to me when we were in a straight-up title fight, the title fight that I offered you? If you want another title fight, we'll go again. There's plenty of time left for us to do it. We can do it here tonight. We can do it in Canada at the Survivor Series if that's what you want. We can do it at Saturday night's main event. Kevin, whenever you want it, the ball is in your court. And then Owens kind of gets to take it. It's like, all right, Cody, you can have your match. And then the fans get crazy. And then, but not for these people.
Not for these.
Not for these. You're not getting it tonight. When it does happen, I'll do my job. And this time I'll be quite happy to pull the trigger. I crossed the line with Randy Orton. But I love Randy Orton. I just hate you.
And I love that line so much because what's he going to do to the person he actually hates?
Yeah, the comparison of the two. Owens goes to leave and says, you don't hate me, you just hate yourself. We're in agreement in one thing, Kevin. I won't hesitate to cross the line either. I want to
wait for this match.
I want to add just something because I can't wait for you to put this over, but it's just an extra bit on the show to set up a match next week. Cody Rhodes is backstage, just a ball of fury and anger and energy that needs to like go somewhere, and it's just got that real sort of like competitive fury. And he bumps into Carmelo Hayes, and basically Carmelo Hayes says, I've been speaking to the guys in the locker room. We kind of all think you had it coming, and maybe Kevin Owens was right. And that ends up being a massive boot off. Cody's just total head loss. They have a pull apart, and that match is booked for next week as well. It's kind of all folded into Cody's night.
Yeah.
Your take on this whole deal?
Yeah, it was absolutely magnificent. Just to touch on the Cody Carmelo Hayes thing, like I howled in my living room before the kids woke up when he shoved them. I was pent up with the exact same energy as my top baby face. Absolutely majestic bit of booking. Kevin Owens has got that Eddie Kingston thing where he is, in many respects, the perfect professional wrestler. He's got this character, and this character has got these traits that just fuel great storytelling, incredible storytelling, and he can, because his promo delivery is so world-class in terms of his tone, when he says things, how much he has to get into the mindset to be able to do these things. What's perfect about Kevin Owens as a pro wrestling character is that the more you put him over, which is what other wrestlers should do with their dance partners, the more you put him over, he will bristle at it. He will feel disrespected. He will feel like you're just little broing him.
Yeah.
And that makes him more and more and more pissed off. And Kevin Owens has got that rare ability we talk about all the time. The truth in the liar's eyes. I believe it when Kevin Owens reaches the end of that incredibly short fuse of his. And what was so great about this, that the more Cody was putting him over, and people were reminded, this Kevin Owens is great. He's had this career that you might even want to call legendary. You can feel him getting more pissed off. I'm already better than you dickhead.
Don't patronise me.
Don't patronise me, you cunt. Perfection. Kevin Owens is a perfect TV character. I believe every word coming out of their mouths, you have this rational head when you press play on a wrestling show. The idea is for you to lose your head and get involved in the fiction. These two are so perfect at it that you forget they're great friends. You forget that it was Kevin Owens who said, if you want to leave Cody, go for it. I'll hook you up with the Young Bucks. I'll show you the places where the hip places where you can get over and do what I did if that's what you want to do and come back with that cred and all the rest of it.
She's now on TV from that mini program they had before Berlin as well. Yeah.
So I just think that from that sit-down interview where they just were kind of competitive and friendly, and then it got a little bit, dicey. That energy started to get a little bit uneasy to now that full eruption. Cody Rhodes was magnificent here. Like, his head has gone.
Yeah.
He didn't try and do that sort of gregarious, what do you guys want to talk about? That's not what the character's at. He's reflected that in his choice of aesthetics. It just feels like real stuff. Yeah. It feels like real stuff. This is world-class in plotting, world-class in the pacing, in terms of how they've just peeled everything back in terms of what they really think about each other deep down. You can just buy it. It's majestic pro wrestling booking. I'm completely in love with it. I think they're closing in on Feud of the Year. We just need one serious heavy heat angle in the blow-off match, and they've just got it wrapped up in a bow. I would describe all of this as completely and utterly flawless. There's not been one thing where I'm like, can't be arsed with it this week. Get to the point of the next plot. Just the way that their friendship has disintegrated has been executed to a 5-star storytelling level. The promos are completely world-class. The walls are closing in on everything. Kevin Owens cannot be reasoned with, as much as Cody is trying in that delivery of his, like the lack of patience, this sense of, I know I can't get through to you, but maybe if I just shout loud enough, maybe if I express enough sarcastic, withering, scathing, with his tone or at the edge. I know I can't get through to you, but what if I just say it a little bit louder? And Kevin Owens is going, "Oh, so you're being sarcastic towards me and you're being condescending." And then Cody's like even more apoplectic and despairing. It's just this wonderful firecracker now. I can't wait for the rest of development. When I know it's that Sunday morning UK time, I'm honestly going to be in the mood to watch it. It's just the best story told on wrestling television all year, bar none. Give it its flowers. I don't think it can fail.
I'm kind of marveling at it. I'm marveling at this story from when I was first marveling at it the very first week. And I think we were on the same page here.
And I love Kevin Owens' energy as well. I get it.
I mean, before Berlin, when Owens said, "Oh, no, thanks," and straight away, it's like, that's really good booking because this is setting up that Randy Orton turn.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it still is, by the way.
Yeah.
Randy Orton's going to turn on Cody down the road. I didn't think he was setting up a Kevin Owens turn as well, because now Cody Rhodes has offered him a title shot as best mates, and Owens has kind of been a bit of a dickhead to him. And now Cody said, "Well, let's just have a blood feud then."
Yeah.
And Kevin Owens has been a dickhead to him. So what in Cody's mind, it's like, well, what can I do, mate?
Yeah.
Like
the exasperation in his voice is world class.
That is so well developed from that day back in, it would have been July or early August. And then it's obviously been so well crafted because in order for the true inciting incident, Cody had to team with Roman.
Yeah.
So you then have to divert from that.
It's deft, dovetailing stuff on SmackDown.
Like,
there is, in this main event scene, there's so much incidental, mediocre wrestling on this undercard. It's not even funny. The main event scene and the character Bibles that you talk about and the way it's overlapped with the Roman stuff, which is the fulcrum of everything.
Which you kind of need it. Yeah, it wouldn't work. Like it's
deft, dovetailing stuff on SmackDown. And I cannot believe that I've used those three words in that sentence without taking the piss.
What we get when the best performers are doing it, it's even better, isn't it? Because then you get the credible.
I can't say enough about their delivery and how Kevin Owens, his mood has mutated and it's all gone warped from those sit downs when they're pally with, we're gonna have a match and we're gonna hurt each other, and just when they were like the warm reminiscence of their old friendship and the little digs at each other, but in that sort of banter, to now this. They haven't missed a step in making it credible every single turn. It's just been so awesome, man. It's so awesome, this program.
Loud part quiet as well, isn't it? Because like the very next segment, we cut to the Bloodline, and there's Sami Zayn sat there with a Sami Uso t-shirt on, and it's like, well, that's a WrestleMania match. It's just like, that's unbelievable. Like Seth Rollins has turned it down. So like, if you're in Kevin Owens' head, you're like, thanks, Seth. I really needed that.
Yeah.
And like in the meantime, there's his real best friend just wearing the friggin' shirt, and it's like that's going to matter hugely, like to a WrestleMania extent. You would think. Yeah, feels like that's where they're probably pointing it towards.
And like, I love the fact that they've introduced this idea of Seth just saying no because you can't actually say no. Yep, you've got friends you could go to war with. There's a bigger problem here.
I mean, he's going to be pissed off with who said yes, isn't he? As well.
Yes,
he's now going to. Now he kind of wants in
that.
Almost, and it's like.
But and then it's so not only do you build Seth and Punk from there, Sammy and Kevin from there,
Cody and Randy
from all of this. But what's wonderful is just having just Seth say no isn't just teasing it out for a week, isn't just stopping you from thinking, oh, well, it's Punk and that's when he comes back, because Seth has agonized over the decision. When these people keep saying to Kevin Owens, like Cody and Sammy, circumstances dictated that I had to do it. No reflection on you, so we had to do it. He can go, Seth didn't.
Yeah.
Seth didn't, so why did you do it?
Yeah. Not all my friends have abandoned me.
Yeah.
And Seth's a baby face, so down the line, that probably doesn't end well for them too, does it? Yeah. Aye, it's good stuff.
But it's deft, dovetailing stuff on SmackDown, and not only is the plotting so... like almost like it bears to scrutiny so well, as we've just established. Watching Cody in this form, in that jacket, and every week he's pretty much this awesome. Like his fire last week was outstanding as well. It made me realize this is how the business is. Every hot period ever, whether it's AEW in the pandemic somehow with Mox, Hogan, Austin. Like maybe WCW 97 had Sting, and that's why AEW's going with Darby. You need a babyface who can talk and you want to see every single week. AEW hasn't had that since Hangman Page, realistically. And they've had they had that weird run of all babyface programs after that, or a program, whether it was Page and Punk, or Swerve and Joe, who were just two cool guys who you liked, or even MJF versus Moxley, where it's like, well, it is face and heel, but people want MJF to turn, so that's complicating things. Then it was, just a good guy and a bad guy selling tickets and doing the business and working the story of the year. It just made us think, I want Mark Briscoe to be the Cody. You'd be a very different Cody.
Oh, yeah, but...
Obviously, they're very different people. I want an incredible babyface, a rousing babyface, who can just be the anchor of the show in AEW. Get rid of the Spotify premium. Everyone's a main eventer. No one's a main eventer. Just Cody being on SmackDown has awoken. That's what the business is.
All of the detail and the kind of character profiles and the arcs and stuff we've described there as well ensure that you're not going to have that problem of Kevin Owens getting cheers out of the fans simply respecting him. Yeah. They will buy him as a bad guy because it's tight, isn't it?
It's fun to get into as well.
And Orton, when he inevitably took, like Cody mentioning, I've been the one that had to tell his wife. Like, Randy's not going to forget that. Yeah. It's Randy Orton. He's going to kick you in the head for that down the line. It's one
of those where this segment was so good. What happened, what preceded it and what's going to happen after was so tight and so good. You watch an episode of SmackDown like this and you always think, oh, well, the gates are a bit softer than they were when they were doing those record sellouts on the build at WrestleMania. Yeah, Raw's not what it was, and is this the beginning of the end? Yeah. And then you see something like this, and they've got loads left. Suck at AW for another year.
Post-WrestleMania season, it needs a couple of new guys up there, I think, but aye.
AW needs to try and find something that they no longer do. It was obviously a lot easier when Vince was there. They're now doing blood. They've now got the best world-class promos in the business telling these stories on the microphone, which is what AEW had. AEW's got the vastly superior in-ring wrestling, but we've talked about this. It's not the same as it was when, great wrestling happens every week now. Yeah. This is wonderful. That's been normalized. I don't know what to do. They're not copying the homework by going for a Kingston or a Briscoe, but my God, they need something like this. Mm-hmm. They need something like this.
To the Bloodline, who have arrived, and Sami Zayn is admitting there's the four of them there looking quite forlorn. They're out of ideas. Jey Uso, obviously good friend of Cody Rhodes, mentions Cody. Jimmy seems to approve, but Roman Reigns kind of shoots it down. He's just like, not for now. Like, presumably acknowledging the head loss as well, which isn't the worst thing. He's like, just kind of owing one, but not right now. It says it's old news and we've moved on. Sammy's like just desperate saying, try Seth again. He's going to be pretty pissed off with Bronson Reed. And Roman still not on board with that anyway. He just says, we don't need anybody else. Like, there's the four of us. It's family. It's all that matters. If we're together, we're good. If we die together. Jimmy and Jay, all for it. Sami Zayn expressing concern, but like with Roman Reigns. But what's the plan? And Roman says, I don't know yet. But obviously does say that, we'll meet them face to face later on. We go to, then there's the Cody Carmelo exchange. Brilliant, as you say, just like you're roaring for Cody, aren't you? Then we've got Bayley and Naomi versus Candice LeRae and Tiffany Stratton. A couple of nice exchanges with Tiffany Stratton and Bayley here, but this is
stunk.
Ultimately about the post-match.
There was like 2 seconds behind on so many things.
Yeah. I quite like Naomi and Bayley here. Should point out the match doesn't get a finish. Nia Jax is kind of causing bother around the ring, and eventually they're leading to a hot tag between Naomi and Bayley. But Nia Jax pulls Naomi off the apron so she can't make the tag. That does play into a couple of times where earlier in the match, Bayley and Naomi, they're on the same page, but they look as if they're just like off a little bit. Yeah. And obviously based on the ambulance stuff and then this finish, you might be starting to see some tensions mounting. But Nia Jax pulls Naomi off the apron so that Bayley can't make the tag, but the referee spots that at long last, calls her for the bell. It's a cheap kind of thrown away DQ finish, not great. But as a result, we get the kind of War Games time of year brawl, basically. Io Sky runs down, Nia Jax enters the ring to try and stop her. Io Sky is fighting back. She hits a pretty sweet springboard dropkick, but then Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan arrive on the scene. It looks like the heels have got the advantage, and then Rhea Ripley arrives with an updated black version of the face mask and a kendo stick. This kicks ass. Like, she's just presenting.
Bit of you in it.
Oh, a bit of me, this.
Bit
Like,
of you.
the gear looks class. She's just a total dominant baby face. I saw comparisons over the weekend about like how sort of there's like a Liv Morgan like stan community, like suppose we're probably just going to have like Rhea Ripley going back to beating up Liv Morgan every week, and then somebody was like,
that's the business.
have you ever seen the business?
That's
like
the business.
Steve Austin was the comparison. There was an element of that because it wasn't stunners, but you know what I mean? It's Rhea Ripley coming in.
Didn't work all right for old Steve.
Did okay for the Texas Rattlesnake. You've been down his ranch lately. So anyway, Rhea Ripley, having obviously saved the day, helps Io Sky up to her feet, and Bayley and Naomi as well. They're sort of all hugs around the baby faces. Bit more divided in theory than the heels, but at least on this night they were together. It's War Games setup stuff.
Yeah. Don't really care.
Not much more.
The
to
match
it
was
than
poor action.
yeah, sure was. What was okay action? I think I've missed something. Let me just check my notes.
Check my
I feel like I scrolled past something about. Because it feeds into the next match. There was a segment earlier on where the Motor City Machine Guns are with Johnny Gargano. He's like, I'm really sorry, guys. I'm sorry Ciampa ruined the match. We can fix this with a title shot. And then the Guns are like, well, I don't know. I think probably should go to the Street Profits first.
I was going to ask you, how old is your Johnny Gargano in that impression? But this is a guy who goes to Disney World.
I mean, I love Disney World too, but he's kind of coming across like a big old pissy baby
Big old
in the story.
baby,
Like,
geeky pissy baby.
makes me hope he's...
Kissy baby.
I'm hoping he's going to see Ciampa's side of things. But in this segment, like, Gargano's like, oh, come on, guys. And the Street Profits are like, Johnny, mate, like, we're going to get the title shot, and Tommaso Ciampa's he's a bad dude. And that takes us to a singles match later on with Montez Ford and Tommaso Ciampa. And Montez is looking for revenge for Ciampa breaking things up last week. It sounds like I'm looking for nice things to say, but like spirited brawl stuff. Like Montez Ford is trying to work this babyface offense while the Profits are turning heel. Awkward spot to be put in, ultimately. Like Montez Ford is such an incredible, explosive babyface character, but it probably is for the best that the Profits are turning. But in the meantime, you've got like him being the righteous babyface trying to get revenge, but viciously. So it doesn't quite work that well, but Tommaso Ciampa kind of knows this character inside and out. He's better at doing the sort of more vicious stuff. So he's kind of like just constantly trying to like hit the air raid, crash, just be a bit more violent, a bit more cynical with his attacks on Montez Ford. Ultimately, Ford goes for a springboard attack, and Ciampa just drills him out the sky with this amazing looking knee. But he's able to come back. Ford, I think he blocks the fairy tale ending that Ciampa goes for, and he gets like the Dragon Rana for the pin, the 1, 2, 3. He's beaten him clean, but then as a result, Tommaso Ciampa snaps on him after the bell. He attacks Johnny Gargano, comes like, leave him alone, Tommaso. But like Ciampa's so sick of everything at the moment, like that he just pushes Johnny Gargano to the ground. Angelo Dawkins is out there as well. The Street Profits are like able to kind of like get the advantage on Ciampa effectively because Gargano's not in the fight. So Ciampa just bails. Here comes the Motor City Machine Guns to like level the playing field. And like Ciampa's gone to the floor. The Guns are stood mid-ring with Johnny Gargano, and you can sort of hear Ciampa saying, what team are you even on, Johnny? I really hope for Johnny Gargano's sake the answer to that question is DIY, because if nothing else, the last thing I wanted here was like a DIY split and Johnny Gargano to somehow be the babyface.
We watched One Final Beat the other week on a stream, and it was one of those where it's even worse than I remembered.
Yep.
Johnny Gargano was on his hands and knees grunting the entire way through. Can't watch them wrestle another match again.
Can't get to a vertical base in the old One Final Beat, can he? He's just never up.
No. This match was, I remember I watched it on Saturday morning. I just went, yeah, just sure it's a match, and no one cared about it. I went, oh, that knee from Ciampa sounded vicious. Mm-hmm. That was it. That was my takeaway. One knee.
I think I like this Profits heel turn. I think it's going to work.
They're turning every... Well, two babyface teams at once.
I think that's the point, because the Guns have got the belts and they're the real babyfaces here. Maybe I'm bargaining there. I think the profits are turning, but maybe I'm bargaining with DIY because I just desperately don't want this babyface Gargano to be around much longer. Like, I want him to see that, sod it, I'm going to go with Ciampa rather than being this loser. Next week, they promote that there's going to be the other triple threat match that was supposed to happen, but they're going to find a replacement, a mystery partner for mystery partner opponent, should I say, for the place of Jade Cargill. But now it's main event segment time as Solo Sikoa heads the ring with the Bloodline. They're all in the ring waiting, and we get the music for Roman Reigns. He leads out the Usos and Sami Zayn, and they're sort of 4-on-5 mid-ring. But before the surrender, Solo just wants a minute to speak. He says, look, like, I'm glad the way this is working out. We don't need to fight. I still love you, Roman. That's never had to change. But you need to get it. You need to understand that I'm the tribal chief now. Join up with me and we can run WWE for as long as we want to. And it doesn't matter that you've got this numbers disadvantage because there doesn't need to be a fight at all. Surrender, join my team, or the four of you will die in this ring. You don't have a fifth man and you don't have a wise man. So come on. And he holds the microphone in, kind of holds it upside down, almost as if he was going to drop a pipe bomb. I couldn't help but noticing that. Roman goes to speak, and then just as he's considering what he's going to say, we hear, ladies and gentlemen, sir, ladies and gentlemen, huge pep. Paul Heyman walks out onto the stage. We're going to get to what he was wearing in a minute. Genuinely massive reaction for Paul Heyman's return. He does his long spiel, his long introduction, and he says, maybe his math ain't mathin', because he did get put through a table in Madison Square Garden, sir. The Mecca. The Mecca, sir. So maybe his numbers aren't right, but Solo's, no, Carl Vorderman or Rich O'Reilly, Sidge, because it's not 5-on-4, it's 5-on-5.
Press the button for you.
Oh my God.
Right, well, before we get to what happens next.
All right.
What did you do and how was your reaction? How did it make you feel?
I roared, mate. I absolutely roared.
Do you know what was coming?
No, well, I'd speculated on it on our SmackDown preview simply because I thought they kind of booked themselves into an awesome, like, no-lose situation. Seth fights against all his better urges and says yes, and you kind of have some really cool story to play with in War Games. And then I did sort of forecast maybe Punk comes out at the end and they do the exact same finish as last year's Survivor Series. And Seth can't just be happy for a second because that's what Punk does. Or they just go with Punk because of the Heyman link. And now Seth can be like, well, good, I said no anyway. But there's that little bit of, you absolute bat, you're taking something I don't want from me.
Yeah.
Like, that's who you are to me now. And God knows where that goes. So, it was one of the things that I didn't want to sort of like just think, no, it's definitely happening, lest I be disappointed. So yeah, the music hits. Enormous reaction. Punk's coming down, he's halfway through taping
What did
his
you
fist.
physically do at home?
Yeah! Like that. It's late winner stuff when Punk does anything. Like this kind of like him returning out, or like when it drops, CM Punk is on Raw tonight, like CM Punk promo segment, it's another Goated Monday. Like it is that sort of late winner stuff for me with CM Punk still. I saw a thing, these accounts that like, some of them like still trying to dunk, and I don't know why. Like they were like, jokes on Punk. It was like the best of CM Punk's return since coming back, and it was like on the Vault channel or whatever, WWE YouTube channel, and it was like 60 minutes long. It's like back here, and they've only got enough footage for an hour. Just take the L.
Yeah,
this return's been really cool. Like, this return's been super cool, and this was the latest cool moment, because he hits the ring. He sort of. The brawl is on basically straight away. So you've got the 5-on-5. They're all just sort of like pairing off. The Usos and Sami Zayn do a 3-person dive onto 3, and that leaves the ring empty, but for Roman Reigns and CM Punk to stare down for the first time. Paul Heyman positions himself in the middle of the ring, so the camera's kind of got focus on all 3. Then Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa get back into the ring. Punk's able to trap Tama Tonga in the go to sleep right as Roman Reigns is hitting the spear on Tonga Loa, so they're like perfectly synced up. Do you get it, Sidge? Maybe they can be on the same page. Physical illustration. And then the show goes off the air with the Bloodline getting back in the ring and Paul Heyman delivering that kind of like devilish look down the middle as Roman Reigns and CM Punk stand face to face like huge megastars. I was suddenly thinking, I love the Seth story, but is this the night one main event? And you're kind of left to wonder exactly how all this is going to play out. There was a picture that did the rounds, but it was after we saw the Paul Levesque Lee Fitting credit of all 4 of them doing the Bloodline pose and Punk continue to do the go to sleep. So it's like a kind of a half in, I'm here for Heyman rather than for you sort of thing. I mean, Jesus Christ, this is a bit of me, this. But
This is the business. This is the business.
there's a business. Like, Punk, like, in another cage match, kind of knows what he's doing in there. So, like, maybe War Games won't be horrifically boring. That'd be nice. I have been able to think non-stop, not about War Games, because it probably will be drab, but any combination of those four in the mini cage, especially if it's Punk and Roman, I don't care about. I want to play a cam on the mini cage.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch Roman and Punk stare each other out in that tiny box. And like imagine Sammy like, or Jay, come on guys, like we're on the same and just like the intensity in that mini cage as they're being penned in. I don't care about the match. I'll have 30 minutes of staring at that. Or like the ego of it, like does Punk want to start? Does Roman want to lead from the front? All that kind of stuff. That's all to play for. In the meantime, we have to talk about it because I love this stuff. Probably less so.
He's not the biggest Punk guy anymore.
Paul Heyman was dressed like Solo Sikoa.
Yes.
Is he setting them both up? Yeah, like he could see Roman. If you remember when they did that awesome SmackDown of the year for me, when Cody was in the ring and it looked like he was staring down, and then Punk came to help him before Drew battered him in front of the garage door. Heyman was in the ring being like, take me with you, and Punk didn't. And in the meantime, Roman's left Heyman kind of to the wolves for that couple of months after WrestleMania. Heyman could well be glad to be back to help, but he could be looking to set both guys up, send them to the doom at the same time.
Are taking the piss with me. It's not fair, man. This company should not be winning, but they're winning.
Yeah.
We talked about everything they've still got left to do. Everything they've still got left to do, and then they just give you Punk and Roman. That's obviously we're doing it at some point. We're telling you we're doing it at some point. They haven't even got the Cody and Punk yet.
No, the dream match, really.
Like, people talk about the Renaissance, how long it lasts, how long these things tend to last. Are the signs already there? Obviously, we've talked about Raw not being as hot as it was last year and all the rest of it. And then you think, well, they've got this to do. Cody versus... They could do Cody and Roman again. They've always got that. Cody versus Randy. Punk versus Seth. Is that right? That's WrestleMania kind of sorted out. Oh, Punk versus Roman. Haven't even got to Cody versus Punk yet. Like, talk about hot periods, and this could be that New Japan 2010s, where they had that 7-year stretch of like, it's just double treble goated, it's getting better every time, getting better all the time. There's something about the presentation, these matches that just happen in front of you with no atmosphere. It cannot be me ever. If you're a WWE fan right now, and you're watching this episode of SmackDown and you're looking at the combinations to come and the combinations you're living in right now, you've got to be in Wonderland.
Yeah.
In apps, they have created this situation. This is meant to be the boring bit. This is meant to be the bit where it's like, right, Survivor Series, it'll be fine. It's the worst of the big four usually. Mm-hmm. And then you get these couple of months, then it's Mania season. Like Saturday night's main event is hot as balls.
More of them to come. Is it 5? I think over WrestleMania, Rumble at WrestleMania run. I think there's another few more of them, and it's like based on this one, they're not going to just leave those hanging, are they? It's not going to be like Battle of the Belts type inconvenience sort of thing. Like Netflix, Cena.
It is cold proof. WWE right now is as cold proof as AEW was cold, and I don't mean to think of it as a comparison exercise. I'm just trying to let people know. If you are riding on that AEW comeback, Jesus Christ, it's just not getting cold anytime soon, this WWE. Not anytime soon.
My comparison to
Cena hasn't even freaking come back yet.
This is it. Like the Netflix,
and I hate him, but people love him for whatever reason.
Rock. For like Austin said, well, I'm close, I live close. So he might just fancy it. The comparison I've always lent on in this boom is the last one. So like a specific period of it.
I think you'd be thinking differently, man. This is the New Japan. It's just here to stay.
Well, what's really struck me, and it's ironic considering how integral he was in the complete collapse of it, in 2000, when Triple H really was the game in the ring, that fell away when, it's not as simple as this, but when Kresge lost the book, ultimately. You can even see September, October, things starting to fall away. Part of it was Steve Austin kind of killing the fun as a character that needed a lot of creative attention around him, and that took it away from this, like, out of nowhere, vast cast of characters that they built up in that 2000.
Almost like nice.
Yeah, it was a pleasant place to be. Kind of like how this on-screen product feels now, with the clearly defined goodies and baddies and stars everywhere, that kind of thing. Austin comes back, gobbles up so much that TV time. A lot of people's momentum and aura is shunted. And then At the same time, Stephanie McMahon heads up creative. They completely rethink how they do creative, and the wheels start to fall off and then never get them back on. That was like...
Well, they do now because what's the temperature check on?
Another pulse check. It's gone from boiling to piping hot. The situation they find themselves in now is that same
They don't deserve to win.
vast cast of characters, but seemingly with no... Like Triple H is not going to like just tear up his creative playbook. That's ultimately what's going to be the undoing of him. One day it'll grow tired and he'll need to be replaced. But you're not going to have that happen like what happened to Chris Kresge with the storyboards getting bullied by arseholes, or a nepotistic hire in Stephanie McMahon. It's his until he starts to fail, ultimately. So that's not going to happen. In the meantime, I would argue with the way CM Punk's year has gone, it's a year today, I think, the way that year has gone, the way that, and I think sometimes it's been to his detriment, but nonetheless, how Roman Reigns has been like folded back into it, they are also being told, you will go where you go. We will not allow for a Steve Austin to come back and hit stunners. There's never been more stars. You kind of need to show us every week that you belong at the top, and we will judge you on that week on week on week. Nobody's toppled Cody. Nobody's taken it. How much have we just put over Cody in this show, and he goes on in the middle of the show?
Yeah.
He's the guy. And he's the measuring stick. And then Roman Reigns is also the measuring stick. And then CM Punk is also the measuring stick. And like Jey Uso continues to be made by his station. And we are building Mania matches for so many guys. There just isn't that, there doesn't seem to be that looming destructive force that can currently shake things up to its detriment. And that's what
Hopefully The Rock pulls through.
Yeah. And that's the thing. He is the kind of fly in the ointment. And yet...
He's already learned the lesson, seemingly.
This year's political battle suggests he'll kind of like... tweak that element of it this time because he probably knows he's beaten Cody. He's got his prize, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's probably getting what he wants, and that's Triple H's way to like try and Jedi mind trick The Rock into just doing what he asks.
Yeah.
You'll win in Vegas, Dwayne. Please.
Yeah.
Please don't F and Jeff this week. You're killing the guys. So yeah. If you're a hater, you want to hope The Rock screws it all up. Otherwise, there's more of this to come. And there's more of this to come today on the YouTube channel, on your audio feed, where we've got our full gear review. Maybe a Raw preview if we can fit in, but maybe not. But we'll be back. Normal service regime tomorrow. We'll be back in that chair for the Raw. I don't.
He's too amped up on Fed stuff again.
I'm so fired up, man. These SmackDowns always just end on such a high. Remember when they got the Motor City Machine? I love these reviews. It's always good.
So do you basically don't want Wilborn to work Mondays because that means SmackDown is pretty goated? I mean, it was pretty goated. It had like CM Punk aligning with Paul Heyman and teasing a partnership and feud with Roman Reigns at the same time. You had Chelsea Green advancing up the ranks and getting what's really owed to her at this point. You had Cody and Kevin Owens with a verbal spar for the ages, but they seem to be doing that every single week. And you had some undercard matches.
Yeah, the SmackDown review. It's got all this and so much more. And we will see you soon.